All right, let's get straight into your strategic intelligence briefing for January 2026. We're not just looking at headlines today, we are mapping the entire industrial system that is actively redefining global power. And the signals are unmistakable. The experimental phase of AI is officially over. We're going to start with a pretty stark warning that just came out last week. Now, this isn't from some think tank or academic paper. This is from a core government security agency, and that's a huge deal. It's basically an admission that the system is now evolving faster than our ability to regulate or even understand it. And that really gets to the heart of what we're talking about today. The way we've thought about AI, as a piece of software or an app, that's completely outdated. We've entered an age of full-scale AI industrialization. And that means the things that matter aren't just algorithms anymore. It's silicon, it's power grids, and it's the political power to control both. So let's begin at the top layer, the part of this whole system you can actually see and touch, the rise of autonomous AI agents. And to be clear, we are not talking about chatbots. Think of these as the very first generation of true digital employees. Now look closely at this, because this isn't just a feature list. This is a map of labor displacement. OpenAI's GPT-5.2 isn't a tool to help experts anymore. It is the expert. Google's Gemini 3 doesn't just help you with research, it automates the entire research process from start to finish. And Anthropic's Claude 4, it can code on its own for 7 hours straight. The whole game has shifted from assisting humans to fully automating their tasks. We are witnessing the birth of digital labor as a brand new asset class. And this just perfectly illustrates the price of admission to this new industrial game. SoftBank just dropped $22.5 billion into OpenAI. I mean, let that sink in. This isn't venture capital, it's industrial capital. It's the kind of money you need to build the literal foundations of a new economy. And it tells you the game is consolidating fast. So here's your first really critical takeaway. You have to change your thinking. It's not about managing people who use tools anymore. It's about managing a blended workforce of humans and digital labor. The question for your next strategy meeting isn't how do we adopt AI? It's what can we fully automate? Your first step should be to start auditing your own team's workflows. Find that high-value, repetitive work because that's the target. Okay, so we have these new digital employees, but they don't just float around in the cloud. They have to exist somewhere. They have a physical home. And that brings us to the next layer down in the system. We're moving down the stack now, to the physical layer. We're talking about the new factories of the 21st century. The actual, tangible hardware that this entire new economy is built on. The term you need to get used to hearing is AI factory. And listen, that is not a metaphor. These are colossal, real-world buildings designed for one purpose, and they are quickly becoming the most important industrial assets on the entire planet. So what's the engine inside these new factories? It's this: NVIDIA's new Rubin platform, which just went into mass production on January 1st. The only number you really need to care about here is 2.5x. That's a 2.5 times leap in performance. That's not just a minor upgrade. It's what allows an AI agent to go from being able to code for 1 hour to 7 hours. This relentless, predictable march of hardware is what's driving everything. The software is nothing without it. And that leads to your second big takeaway. Hardware is now the main strategic choke point. If you control the chip fabs in Taiwan and the design labs in Silicon Valley, you control the future of AI, full stop. So you have to ask yourself, is our access to this hardware secure for the next 24 months? You need to be mapping your dependencies on cloud providers and chip suppliers right now, because the supply chain has become the central battleground for geopolitical competition. But of course, an engine needs fuel. A factory needs a power source. So what do these absolutely enormous AI factories consume at a scale we've literally never seen before? This brings us down to the most fundamental layer of all: energy. The race to dominate AI has now become a raw, global scramble for watts, and it is completely reshaping the world's energy markets. And right now, we're seeing two very different strategies emerge to solve this problem. On one side, you've got Elon Musk's xAI going for a brute force approach, just building a massive 2-gigawatt supercomputer. But on the other side, Google is doing something much, much more strategic. They are vertically integrating. For nearly $5 billion, they didn't just buy energy. They bought the energy company, Intersect Power. They are trying to control the entire value chain, from the solar panel all the way to the AI agent. So here's your third takeaway. Energy is the new oil. It's that simple. The locations that have cheap, abundant power are now the locations that will have sovereign AI capability. Power grids are geopolitical assets, just as important as shipping lanes were in the last century. When you're planning your AI strategy, your first calculation shouldn't be about software licenses. It should be about the long-term cost and stability of the energy you need to run it all. Okay, so we have the software agents, the hardware factories, and the energy powering it all. This entire system has been built almost exclusively by private companies. So who's in charge? Who sets the rules? Well, that brings us to the control layer, where governments all over the world are scrambling to assert some kind of authority over this new industrial base. And the result isn't a clear set of rules. It's a chaotic, global regulatory war. I mean, just look at how messy this is right now. In the United States, you have a head-on collision between very strict new state laws in California and Texas and a presidential executive order that's trying to make them irrelevant. At the exact same time, China just put even stricter controls into place, and the EU's big AI Act is about to hit its most serious phase. It is a legal minefield out there. The takeaway here is absolutely crucial. You have to abandon the idea that there's going to be one single set of rules for AI. It's not happening. What we have is a patchwork of competing legal systems, each one designed to give its own region an edge. Your strategy has to be built for this fractured world. What's legal in Texas might give you an advantage in the EU, but get you banned in China. Navigating this isn't just a job for the lawyers anymore, it's a core competitive strategy. So we've gone from software to silicon to power plants to courtrooms. How does this massive, complicated, abstract system finally show up in the physical world that you and I actually live in? And that brings us to the final layer, the direct human impact. This is where the promise and the peril of all this industrial-scale AI finally becomes tangible.
First, the promise. And what we just saw at CES in Las Vegas was a genuine watershed moment. Humanoid robots, from Boston Dynamics' Atlas to Tesla's Optimus Gen 3, they're not just lab experiments anymore. They are being deployed on actual factory floors. This is the physical body for all that digital labor we talked about.
But as these autonomous systems leave the digital world and enter our critical physical infrastructure, the risks become incredibly real. This number, 22%, comes from a landmark study by Stanford and Harvard. It is the rate of serious medical errors made by the newest AI diagnostic systems. When these systems are being plugged into our hospitals, an error rate of 1 in 5 isn't some future problem. It is a clear and present systemic risk right now. And so we end with this question. An entire industrial stack, from digital labor to hardware to energy grids to competing laws, is being built at a speed we have never witnessed before. It's creating new forms of power and new kinds of risk. This is not a spectator sport. The system is being built whether we're ready or not. The only question left is, what is your role going to be with it?